Efforts to keep agriculture stable and the food supply system moving in the right direction continue through the COVID-19 pandemic. Both have so many moving parts, and the way they've been impacted are wide-ranging. As much as we here in the Buckeye State have covered how Ohio farmers and everyone down the food production line have been affected, those issues expand even more at the national level. It's my pleasure to welcome in the president of American Farm Bureau, Zippy Duvall, to talk about all that AFBF has been involved in over the past couple of months. President Duvall, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I'm proud to be with you today from the state of my birth. A lot of your people might not know that, but I was born in Barberton, Ohio, on a family visit there. So, really great place in my heart for Ohio and agriculture. So, proud to be with you today.
We have a lot to talk about, but before we do, I just want to say that I speak on behalf of myself and all of your Farm Bureau colleagues and our members that know that you've been through coronavirus episode there in your life. You're in our thoughts and prayers, and you look healthy now. How you feeling these days?
I'm doing really good, and I'm going to start out by saying thank you for all those thoughts and prayers. I believe prayer is a powerful thing, and without that, I don't know that we could get through things that we're supposed to get through. So your members have been very gracious, and I thank you for those thoughts and prayers and all the cards I have received, not just during this, but while I lost my wife back earlier in the year too. So yes, I want everybody to be aware. I hear a lot of my neighbors say, this is a political thing. It's a political news. Nothing, it's nothing any different than the flu. And I've had the flu before, but nothing like this. And the thing that we need to be aware of is because I was working from home. Occasionally, I would go to Home Depot or Lowe's, but I wore a mask. And of course, went to church, stayed distance, wore my mask. Done all the right things when I got out of my pickup truck and went amongst people. But we don't think about our children and when they come home and who they've been exposed to. So actually, I got it from my oldest son. All my children came home for the 4th of July. Hadn't seen them since their mother died, and he works with a group of people, and he came in on a Friday before 4th of July on Saturday. We hugged and spent some time together Friday and Saturday. And Sunday morning, he got a call from one of his coworkers said he was positive. Well, the very next day, my son was positive. 2 days later, I was positive. And it was just an innocent family gathering that neither one of us knew that was going to come in during that family gathering. And my son felt horrible because he had. Now, of course, he and his wife and his son had it. And then I had another grandson that had it on my daughter's family. And, my son and his wife, about 4 days, grandchildren, 24 hours. But me, it took 2 weeks. My temperature spiked 3 different times. A lot of aches and pains, really bad aches and pains, headaches, and I couldn't eat. I was unable to eat for about 2 weeks and lost 20 pounds. Of course, I needed to do that, but not that way. Not that way. But it was a struggle for me, and everyone was concerned about my breathing. And I really didn't think I was having a lot of breathing problems, but after I got over it and started breathing right, I realized I was having more trouble than I thought. And, bless her soul, if Bonnie had been with me, she probably would have had me in the hospital. But being here by myself, I tried to stick it out. Not sure that's the right thing to do. I think you need to listen to your body and go to the hospital if you need to. So, but I'm through it. The only thing I got now is trying to build my energy back. And it gets a little better every day because my appetite has come back. So, but just appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers.
Good to hear it. And I know that you mentioned, you went out and you were careful, you did all the right things. That's how this virus works. It kind of sneaks up on you and hits you in the middle of nowhere. And, we talk all the time about being safe on the farm and keeping your family safe and your workers safe and yourself safe in order to keep the food supply system moving forward. It's so important. And we're getting into a time here as we get into middle part of August and September, October, it gets busy around the farm and we need all hands on deck for harvest. It's going to start getting real busy. And we're starting to hear here in Ohio anyhow, that numbers in the rural parts of the state are starting to go up as far as COVID-19 cases. And so safety is paramount these days.
Well, the last thing on your mind is when you got a broke machine and you got to go to the dealership, you got to go to the parts store. The last thing in your mind is take a mask and wear it when you go in there. But we need to do that. I keep mine hanging on my rearview mirror, and I've gotten real good at grabbing it and picking up. And right now, of course, I'm not supposed to get it back for about 3 months. I'm supposed to be immune to it, but I don't, I don't want to. I want to show. I want to play the role everybody else is doing, and it's a small thing to wear a mask. The president described this thing as the invisible enemy. And hey, I don't know that you could express it any different way, because when my son came in on Friday and hugged me, I had no idea he was bringing something to me that was, that was going to hurt me for almost 3 weeks.
Talked about the personal challenges of COVID-19. It has impacted our industry in almost every single aspect of agriculture since the middle of March. We were in DC on the Ohio Farm Bureau President's trip when this all started to go down and the dominoes started to fall. Schools were letting out, businesses were closing. Agriculture, of course, felt the brunt of all of that happening at the same time. And as much as we have done here at the state level, we have worked with the American Farm Bureau Federation at the national level to make sure things get done as well. How wide-ranging were those efforts, and what all have we been able to get accomplished at the federal level through this?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. Internally, organizationally, we had to figure out how we were going to handle working from home and how we will still be relevant to our states and our grassroots. So organizationally, I met with staff, and we started setting up weekly calls back to our state farm bureaus. Each department, programs was on Thursday, national affairs and policy people were on Friday, every Friday at lunchtime. That's where we got feedback from our national affairs people back in our states about what issues they were seeing, so that we could go try to find some solutions. Every Wednesday I had a president's meeting, and I actually brought Washington to the presidents wherever they were staying distanced at, because we had unbelievable good response from invitations of really high level people to be able to talk to our state presidents, from the Secretary of Purdue to Andrew Wheeler at EPA and everybody in between. So those were good quality meetings. And then I also took feedback from them about what they were seeing in the states. Every other Monday, Dale Moore and myself met with all the administrators across the country, talking about how we can work together administratively. What are they seeing? What do they need? What can we do to help them? And then Tuesday, all our communications, and I'm sure you was probably part of that, Terry Moore and all the communications people across the country. And I really have to say thank you to you and the people across the country in your positions, because we started hashtag still farming back when everybody was seeing some empty shelves and consumer was worried about whether or not there was enough food. And of course, there was plenty of food. It was just changing the chain to get it to them at the grocery store rather than through food services. So that hashtag has touched 86 million people. 2 out of every 5 Americans have been touched by the hashtag still farming. We could not have done that without all the great partnership with the communications people across the country and our state farm bureau. So thank you for that. So organizationally, we've been doing all the things that we needed to do from home. And just right off the bat with policy, the first thing that hit us was, how are we going to get our H-2A workers here? They closed the consulates down. We worked with USDA and the president on trying to fix some of the barriers. And we had some hiccup or two, but we really did a good job of getting those things fixed, and we were able to get the workers here. Making sure that our farmers had the right equipment to protect their workers, being part of the PPP program, being able to file for that. And of course, all the work that we've done on the CARES package and the CFAP. CFAP, we played a major role in how CFAP was rolled out, what commodities, and then NOFA, when they took our comments on that, a lot of our commodities that were left out got put back in there. And now we're still looking at the Senate to come with their last package. And we're really excited about the opportunity to maybe help some contract poultry growers in this package. It's in a really good place. We think if the Senate moved forward, we think it'll hold tight. because that was one big area that people got left out of across the country. We're looking at beef and pork pricing because we know that huge differential between box meat and what the producer was getting. Box meat went up 400%. What the producer was getting was going down 30%. Why? We're trying to figure that out. Now we're seeing something similar in dairy that deals with pooling of cheese and cheese prices. So we're looking at that. But everything across the spectrum. When we had those calls back to our state, we listed every issue that they brought up. And we got several pages on the spreadsheet of issues that we've dealt with and tried to find answers for our state farm bureaus. And it's been a challenge, but I believe it's really brought us closer together and made us work closer together. And together we're stronger.
You don't realize just how many parts of agriculture this has impacted. There are two stories to come to mind for me. There was one of a small farmer and his wife that used to go to a farmer's market, and the new rules said that one person had to handle the produce and one person had to handle the money. Well, they could only afford to take one person to the food market, to the farmer's market, and so they had to bow out of that farmer's market. The other one was a student at Ohio State that couldn't get work done at home because of broadband issues. Is there one story that maybe you've heard? Obviously, you've heard thousands of them that stick out in your mind that we may even think about being impacted by everything that was happening over the last couple of months.
But I think the one story that we haven't seen, that we've seen the other side of it, that really concerns me is all the efforts that our farmers and ranchers have went to try to protect their workers, and the media still wants to drag us through the mud on that. I mean, our farmers, of course, when it first hit, we weren't prepared for that. Nobody's prepared for a pandemic. And then when everybody trying to get masks and shields and try to figure out how they're going to distance, I mean, those are huge challenges. But our farmers responded very quickly. And we were able to get them to participate in some of the equipment that come through the CARES Act. So I mean, be critical. Tell us what we've done wrong in the beginning, but please recognize what we've done since we've had time to adjust. I think our farmers have done a heroic job of trying to protect our workers. And just like in my case, sometimes you just can't be protected. You do everything you're supposed to do, and it still happens. So my hats are off to that. So it's more of what we didn't hear. Everybody wanted to talk about the bad, but they didn't want to talk about what the good efforts that was going forward, trying to make sure how we protect people.
I think farmers are pretty good at pivoting, aren't they? There's no such thing as a perfect year. Everything changes, and situations are constantly evolving to where you have to adjust and make sure that you're going to get done on the farm what you have to do with those new current situations. And you mentioned the food supply system issues and other things that caught us off guard that we were able to get in line. But it's going to start a conversation, President Duvall, I think, as we move forward and get through this COVID-19 pandemic about what we learned and how we might be able to change things for the good permanently. And I know that we're still in this pandemic and things are still changing, but how do you see those conversations going once we get out of this and start to look forward?
Well, unfortunately, we don't know when the end date is. We may still be struggling with this a year from now. Hopefully, for God, all of us hope we're not doing that. But I think as we get, can't evaluate what's happened in the middle of the storm, and we're still in the middle of the storm. So when we get closer to the end, when we're getting back more to normal, I think we'll, as an organization and with other organizations, sit down and talk about what we need to do to be more prepared. What did we do right? What should we have done that we didn't do? I will be talking about some policy issues that will prevent some of these shocking things that happen. But more in the way of equipping ourselves, being ready for something like this. And of course, when you go through something the second time, you're better at it, and third time you should have all the things ironed out. We hope we don't have a second and third, but I think we'll do all the right things to try to be more prepared as an organization and as an industry.
Before I let you go, a message to our members, a chance to visit with the Ohio Farm Bureau members across the state from the OFBF president. What would you like them to know?
Yeah, just thank you so much for staying engaged. There's no time in the history of our organization or history of our industry that we need to be together now more than any other time. There's so many issues out there facing agriculture, and the only way we're going to get it done is to provide that one united voice. And that's what our grassroots and our state farm bureaus and American Farm Bureau does at all different levels. I will make one plea though. The CFAP program was a great program for our farmers, and we were right in the middle of all that, trying to help USDA get out. They've done an absolutely wonderful job to do it in such a short period of time. Something that touched all of agriculture, and they did it, 4, 5, 6 weeks. That's almost unheard of. But out of the $15.4 billion that was allotted in the CFAP program, our farmers only have sent applications for 6.8 billion of it. 44% of those dollars have been spent out. Now, is there not enough information out there for our farmers to know whether or not or how? Is the communication between farmers and the FSA offices not adequate to be able to make sure that they're getting their applying for it? Is it the commodities that's getting added after NOFA, after we made our comments about what commodities didn't have opportunity to be part of that? What is the problem? Because what we're seeing now is we're having reporters say, well, you only use 44% of the first staunch. Why would you need another one? Why 20 billion in the Senate? So, we need to help our farmers, our small farmers, all different demographics of our farmers, help them make sure they apply for these monies because they need them. I know they need them, and agriculture needs it, and our rural communities need that money flowing around in our economy. So I would ask our grassroots to try to be a little bit more involved in trying to help our neighbors help themselves. And hopefully we can get those numbers up because we're hoping really hoping that we'll get that 20 billion that's in the Senate bill right now. And then we're also hoping that in the next CR that we can get the participation level for USDA and CCC raised from 30 billion to 68 billion. And that's our two big efforts out in the future trying to do that. I just want to say I appreciate our farmers. We're here, we got their back. And if there's an issue we haven't helped our State Farm Bureau and farmers through, please let us know what that is. Our people are ready 24 hours a day to try to find solutions.
Such a different and unique situation that we've been in since the middle of March. And as you mentioned, CFAP, a lot of that money is going towards farmers that never had a chance to file for federal funding and may not even know they're a part of it. So you can find out more about the program and if you might be able to get involved at ofbf.org. Zippy Duvall, president of the American Farm Bureau Federation. Really appreciate you taking time. You look like you're doing great, and it's good to see you back in health. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Hope y'all have a great week.
I'm Ty Higgins. We'll see you down the road.